I've been associated with the Detroit Red Wings, of course, as a broadcaster for a while, and then now as Director of Public Relations. You know, during those years, I've had the opportunity to observe an outstanding and star-studded parade of entertainment history from this broadcast booth high above the Detroit Olympia playing surface. In December 1979, Olympia closed its doors, though, to give way to the new Joe Louis Arena. In the more than 52 years that Olympia has been in operation, thousands of events have been staged here. Well over 75 million people have passed through its turnstiles. And through the years, of course, Olympia has come to be identified with certain traditions created by many years of exciting performers and events. So let me take you now on a brief trip back through Olympia's rich history. Olympia officially opened its doors on October the 26th, 1927, mainly through the efforts of an influential group from the Detroit Athletic Club. 1 month later, the Detroit Cougars of the National Hockey League began playing at Olympia under their new coach, Jack Adams. In 1933, hard times fell on the owners of Olympia, and as a result, Olympia and the NHL franchise were sold to James Norris, a wealthy businessman from Chicago. Norris renamed the hockey club the Red Wings, and to the present day, his family has established a renowned era of sports and entertainment at Olympia. In 1936, the Red Wings won their first Stanley Cup under Jack Adams, and in subsequent years, they would distinguish themselves by winning 6 more Stanley Cup championships and 12 league titles. The famous production line of Gordie Howe, Sid Abel, and Ted Lindsay are best remembered for their great years during the Red Wings dynasty from 1948 to 1955, when the Red Wings won an unprecedented 7 straight league titles and 4 Stanley Cups. Their remembrances at Olympia?
Well, I can remember the first afternoon. It was in the summer of 1944 when Mr. Adams invited me down here to see a few ball games at Tiger Stadium. And then I came up to Olympia, and of course, being from Kirkland Lake in Northern Ontario and walking into this big building where they just put in a brand new ice plant, which is still in here, I was simply amazed at the fact that I even had an opportunity to walk into it. But fortunately, I was able to play here for many years, and a lot of great memories. Played with a lot of great teams. We had a lot of great glorious moments here. We had a lot of sad moments here where we blew championships where we thought we should have won them, but that's all part of life. It was very sad in leaving this building because, but then I also look forward. You can't live in the past. As beautiful as this building has been to me, I'm looking forward very much that Joe Louis Arena will be equally as good and hopefully better.
So many memories here in this building. We were actually raised right within a block or two, lived right over on a lot and a block and a half away from the building. Come over here and the late Jack Adams behind the bench. Players like Richard, Toe Blake, Elmer Locke in Montreal, all the Toronto greats. And then to think that Eddie Goodfellow, Sid Howe, Don Grosso, so many of the old-timers that still make their home here in Detroit, started right here, and we all played together and had so much fun. Then, of course, the Lindsays and Howes come along, and the great, great years that the Wings had. And I just can't believe that somewhere along the line, very soon we have to say goodbye to this beautiful building.
I think the things that you remember most are not the game itself, because you are paid to do that. So it's kind of a callous situation. You go out there and just play your heart out and do the best thing you can. But the things are the surrounding. Like in the early days when we were just kids, and we used to be kids 17, and I used to sleep right in Olympia during training camp. Right in one of those off rooms where they carry luggage now, and then you remember those things. And then upstairs, playing of cribbage with the ushers when things are the game is on, or things there's maybe ice or something. Go up there among your old friends, and that's why I say it's more than just a place to play. It was it's a beautiful home, and for years and years it was probably one of the nicest places to play in, which not only come from the guys that played in there, but the opposition as well. They enjoyed the Olympia and the closeness of the fans.
A man synonymous with the rich hockey heritage of Detroit was Mr. Hockey, Jack Adams. Helen Adams has fond memories of her years at Olympia.
I was always very, very proud to be part of Olympia and to have the privilege of seeing so many marvelous games and other events. We both loved Olympia. Always will. I always will. The building itself, to me, the most shining, wonderful looking building when it opened, was kept so beautifully. So I have a lot of real good memories. Wonderful days. Don't think they can ever be quite so perfect again.
Through the years, many others have reasons to recall their moments at Olympia.
Olympia Stadium. Boy, we've had some great moments here in our 15 years of broadcasting. We've had a few seasons that weren't too much fun also. But I think going back over it all, we've worked with some pretty fine people, starting out with Bud Lynch some 15 seasons ago, and my present partner right now, Sid Abel, and a lot of good guys in between. And I guess maybe one of the things I'll miss most of all about Olympia Stadium is the fact that here at Olympia, as a broadcaster, we probably have the best sight line in the whole National Hockey League.
I just remembered I was hired by Detroit Hockey Club to coach the Windsor Spitfires, and between games, I used to come over here and sit in this box with Mr. Jack Adams, and it was quite a schooling for me. He used to remark about different plays and different stuff like that, and it was a big thrill for me to be in this building, and I just hate to see it pass away. I remember the tear gas, the year we won the 1954-55 Stanley Cup, and it was quite a year for us. A lot of great names that passed through here, and I just hate to see the old building leave us.
To lose a building is one of sorrow, no question about that. This has been the entertainment center of Detroit and Michigan for many, many years, and people remember many things that have been here that have been great. And I think that people will miss this building. But again, we are going to a new phase, and to go to this arena, I think, is very exciting for me, and I look for a great future.
Well, it's one privilege to watch and broadcast hockey, I guess, from the 50s on. The highlights will be memories that you'll always cherish. Stanley Cup overtime games. Pisa Bando, Tony Leslick scoring those overtime goals. To see a Stanley Cup won here, right in the city of Detroit on Olympia Ice. Seeing the greats from other teams perform here. Certainly the era of Rocket Richard and the whole career of Gordie Howe. And one highlight night was back about 1959, the fans may well recall. They honored Gordie Howe. I was out of the broadcasting booth. I was on the plane service that night, emceeing it. And when the keys for the station wagon were presented to number 9, Gordie Howe, the kid broke down and cried. Why? His mom and dad were in the back seat of that new station wagon. Some of the great memories of great nights here at Olympia for me.
This room has given me great memories. Sid Abel sat here, and the great Gordie Howe sat here. And that was a big power line with Ted Lindsay sitting there. This has been my home for 29 years, and I sure will miss it.
Over the years, boxing and wrestling have been major attractions at Olympia. Two of the world's greatest fighters, Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson, were from Detroit and fought here. Great wrestlers like Jim Londas and Dick the Bruiser drew sellout crowds. Many other events have been staged at Olympia. Since 1938, spectacular ice shows have captivated huge audiences. The Harlem Globetrotters have appeared here annually since 1941. Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra drew record crowds. And the Beatles recorded 3 sellouts in a single day. Louis Marudas, former promotional director at Olympia, recalls those great days.
The Olympia Stadium has been my life since 1932. For 38 years, I was assistant to the late Nick Laundis, the general manager of this Olympia Stadium. And we promoted the great fights during the golden era of boxing. I showed the Globetrotters, wrestling, concerts such as Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the pageantry of the great Scottish and British regiments, and many, many more events. And certainly, I'm going to miss this old building, believe me.
I have very fond memories of this building, and as one of those who had the privilege of seeing great performers and events here, there will be memories to savor for years to come. It's time to move on to a new home, to a new era. And what that era has in store is uncertain. What is certain, however, is that Olympia has left its mark as one of the great sports and entertainment facilities of its time.